Basketball fans, it's that time of year again. The NBA's back. Opening tip-off to buzzer beaters. Bet Online has you covered. Best odds, biggest promotions, live in-game betting on all your favorite teams this season. Every game matters. Bet Online, every stat, matchup breakdown, and live odds to bet on during the game. Not just the NBA. Bet Online has odds for everything: football, MLB playoffs, NHL, political props, you name it. Head to the website, get in on the action with America's most trusted site for online wagering. Bet Online, the game starts here. Welcome to another edition of Believe in Giants. Bob Papa, two-time Super Bowl champion Carl Banks. Monday night, we got the Giants and Steelers Monday Night Football. Carl, the Giants are on the road, so they should be able to score. They're averaging almost 23 points a game on the road. They're getting out of MetLife Stadium. I never thought I'd say getting out of a home game might be a good thing, but they need some kind of change of scenery.
Well, they need the scenery is in the win-loss column. They need to see a W. That's what they need to see, and they have to get it wherever they can. And it's in Pittsburgh this week, and it won't be easy. Pittsburgh plays a brand of football where it's smash mouth. That's been their brand. It's going to continue to be. Not a lot of margin for error because the one thing that Pittsburgh does, they don't make a lot of mistakes. So you've got to be pretty buttoned up.
Carl, it's a primetime game. We all know about that stuff. We got the stats. The Giants don't play well on primetime. The Steelers are like the antithesis of that. They've won 21 straight Monday night home games. You know when the last time they lost at home on a Monday night?
Win.
Our colleague Howard Cross caught a
Wow.
touchdown pass from Jeff Hostetler, and Matt Barr kicked a game-winning field goal. You were on the Giants. It was October 14th, 1991.
Wow. That was the last time?
It's the last time the Steelers have lost a home Monday night game. Giants
Well,
and Steelers have played twice. 2020 at MetLife, Steelers won, and in 91 in Pittsburgh at Three Rivers, you guys won. But man, it's crazy.
yeah. Well, listen, Bob, you got to throw those things out the window. This is a Giant football team that desperately needs to win. When you listen to the locker room, some of those interviews, they understand what's at stake. They feel that um, they are close. And I don't know what that means 7 games into the season, but they got to cross over from close to finishing. Um, but it's going to take a team effort. Uh, Attention to detail is probably the theme right now for this team because that's where they are really falling short. Like if they can stay buttoned up, give themselves a chance to have success, then they can create momentum. But these start and go drives, and you get one play, you miss two, and then you're punting. Um, Pittsburgh's going to put a lot of pressure on them. They got two pass rushers. They don't even rush five. They only rush five occasionally. But you got two monsters at defensive end, and as they say, the hits keep coming. They've been facing these top pass rushers, seems like for the last 5 weeks, and um, Pittsburgh's no exception, and they are struggling to find a combination on the offensive line. So it is going to be a tall task.
Carl, obviously, we touched upon it on the podcast earlier in the week, the Deonte Banks situation. Dexter Lawrence was pretty firm in his saying that, hey, look, this is not acceptable. The media is asking Shane Bowen, is Banks going to start? He's like, listen, that's the head coach's decision. He will start. I believe the message has gotten through. We're going to find out on Monday night, but
Yeah.
that's what happens when you have a losing season, is
Yeah.
that all these things that normally would just get taken care of internally become mountains.
Well, yeah, and it's kind of taken on a life of its own. I've had on my social media as recently as like 2 hours ago, someone called him a degenerate. I'm like, hold on,
Wow.
did you even see the play? Like I mean, it's become um bigger than life. Okay, everybody knows it was a shitty effort. He had two of those plays in the game. He played 63 other plays. I'm not excusing it because it was unacceptable. But to be so over dramatic and extreme to start, thinking this kid is just trash, it's just not the case, right? Um, he's got to get his crap together, no doubt about it. But when they're saying bench him, that doesn't rise to the level of benching. When you look at a body of work, now, if he's just a slouch all over the field every single play, that's when you sit him down. If he had two bad plays and they were bad, that gets handled in the locker room. I've been in those situations. And all you got to do is cut on the film, not show his play, but show Dexter Lawrence's play and tell your teammates or you tell your defense, if you're not playing at this level, you ain't doing it good enough. Simple as that. Um, but, you know, people are they've taken those clips courtesy of Giants Insider. Our friend Biz, he posted it, made his commentary, and the thing took on a life of its own. But at the end of the day, and I keep saying the body of work, he held A.J. Brown to a pedestrian game. People are saying, well, he's got to play with more physicality. His job description is to play cornerback. The uh, last time I looked at that position, and especially those that are drafted high, their job is to get the runner to the ground, but they got to play coverage. That's why they get drafted, because they have to play coverage. You just got to get the guy to the ground. The last time I saw a cornerback that hit like a linebacker, he was probably a safety the next year. So, you and playing with physicality, don't get me wrong, Mark Collins was a very physical cornerback, but his job was coverage. If it got out there, he had to get him to the ground, and sometimes it was tougher than others. But the physicality is jamming receivers and making sure these guys don't have big days. Um, but he played bad. I mean, he didn't play bad. He had two really bad plays that were unacceptable, and it's below the standard. And, it got magnified because of the record that they have. But you sit him down, who you going to put in? And see, I don't think people quite understand. They're looking. This is not high school, right? These are professionals. He has a job to do. He is their best corner. So he has to be in there and he just has to be better. And like I said, I could see if he was bad on 59 or 63 plays or 65 plays, then that's cause for a benching. But he can correct the two things the two bad plays that he had out there. And that's really where it comes down to, because this is professional football, folks. You sit your best cornerback down, you think the other teams aren't going to go at his backup? Oh, wait. On a 4th and 2, they had who did they have on AJ Brown on the touchdown?
On the 4th and 3, it was Nick McLeod.
Nick McLeod. You think they didn't see that? And it wasn't Banks? They went right at it. So you sit him down, that's what you're going to get a lot of. So you got to be able to correct that, and that gets corrected in the locker room. Trust me, it does. And people who have not had that experience can only look at it through a lens of just the maximum punishment, and that's just not how it works in the NFL. These guys get paid; they get paid to do a job, and they have to do it. And if they don't do it, yes, they have to correct that. But subtracting him when your team is struggling, it's not the right way to go about it. Just plain and simple. I haven't heard anything that says that and I haven't seen anything that says he's a bum, right? These all these comparisons now. Well, he's Eli Apple 2.0. Whatever you think about Eli Apple, that's for somebody else's discussion. He's Deonte Banks, and he knows what he has to get done. His teammates have already taken care of that. Simple as that, and they're on to Pittsburgh, and that's just the bottom line.
Yeah, I mean, listen, unfortunately, the Giants have caused these problems
Sure,
themselves by the losing. And it
sure.
predates Brian Dable and it predates Joe Shane. And it's gone on. And John Mara, when he addressed the media after the Wellington Mara, the Duke documentary aired the other night, I mean, he said it. He goes, it's been rough for the past 10 or 12 years.
Yeah,
And, he said, I don't foresee anything, but, I'm going to stick with this process. And I get it, man. Fans, they're tired of
of
this
course they are.
football. And it's there's a lot of areas in which you look at it and you say they're close. Like you look at Pittsburgh, they brought Russell Wilson. And speaking of the Giants secondary, like they got to be on high alert because
Hmm.
you look at the numbers, right? And Russell Wilson threw for 264 yards in the game. He threw 2 touchdown passes. His long was 44. Pickens had 5 catches for 111 yards. But if you watch the game, it's not like Pickens was just wide open. He
Yeah.
made some unbelievable catches in the game. Now, Russell Wilson is willing to take those chances and he delivers a ball that gives his guy a good chance to get it.
Hmm.
But the Giants secondary has to be alert because they're going to have opportunities for passes defended. And they got to
Sure.
make those plays in this game because once they get you with the deep balls, and then you start getting Najee Harris going, he's got back-to-back 100-yard rushing games, and he's a complete back.
Yeah.
Going to be in for a long night. And the tight end made an unbelievable acrobatic catch the other night.
Hmm.
Um, so the Giants have to be on their coverage, and they have to be, we always talk about being disruptive. Brian Burns has been very disruptive. The DBs have to be disruptive because
Hmm.
the Giants have one of the lowest pass defense numbers of any team in the league, and they only have one interception all season. And they've got to get better at that to not allow these 50-50 catches that they're giving up that they don't get on the other side.
Sure. And this will be an opportunity if Russell Wilson stays in this game to get some of those interceptions because he throws a moon ball. Your safeties can see that ball. And then your corners, Pickens is a good wide receiver. He's tall. I don't think he presents the same challenge as some of the other wide receivers they've gone against, but he's unique in his own way. But he will body you. He will out physical you for the football, and I think that's his strength. Is like he can run routes. He does all of these things, but that's not the challenge. The challenge is when that ball is in the air, he believes it's his football, and you're going to have to battle him to get that ball broken up or make an interception.
Yeah, I mean, and Wilson's 3-1 lifetime against the Giants, going back to his days with Seattle. But 5 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. Can they get pressure on him consistently and not allow him to escape? Because he's good at making off-schedule plays too, right?
Yeah, he is.
You're down your coverage. Not as dynamic as he was when he was younger, but who the heck is as good as they were when they were younger?
Right.
Other
But
than Tom Brady for some reason.
you want to keep Russell Wilson in this game because the other kid that gets in there, he's going to run all over the place. I'm sure they're preparing for both guys, but keep Russell in the pocket. They should be able to get some level of pass rush against Pittsburgh. I think they're starting a rookie center. So they can't double everybody across that line. So the Giants should be able to get some pressure. Russell can escape. He's not the runner. He doesn't look to run. He scrambles to pass, though he can. He's still capable of running. But you just want to make sure that the back end of your defense is playing very disciplined. They can't lose receivers, and they can't give up these big plays. They just can't. Like they can play almost flawless football for 3 quarters, and then all of a sudden they give up one big play, and that's the difference in the game because you're not getting the production on offense, and you can play them close, but your opponent feels like, okay, well, we can get one play here. That might be enough to win the game. And, the defense cannot fall asleep because that could be the difference in the game. Their pass break up and receivers and quarterback executing better on offense. And you might just need one play to get your drive going. But your quarterback has to execute well, and the receivers on the other end have to execute as well. But you can't turn Malik Neighbors loose if you can't get a drive going. If they got to cover him for one down, they can get that done. But if they got to cover him throughout a drive and you can start to really get in your bag calling plays, that's going to be difficult. But you never get a chance to get Malik Neighbors in the game because, okay, you're going to force the ball to him. They know you're going to force the ball to him the first series of the game. Guess what? They're going to break it up. And then the next play, somebody drops it, or you run for no yards, and then the next play, somebody drops it, and you're punting, and you're starting all over again. And I think this is where the offense, and this is as much on the quarterback as it is receivers. Now, um, footballs have not been perfectly thrown. They were catchable in some instances, but if you got to make better passes to your receivers in order for them to hold on to the ball, then you got to do that. And receivers, you got to help your quarterback out some too. But it's got to be good decision making and good execution, starting with the quarterback and then to the guy he's passing the football to. And just understand you have to value possessions. You cannot take possessions for granted.
Yeah, I mean, look, can they get a running game going? The one thing about this offense right now that you kind of feel is can't feel any identity in this group. Like what do you hang your hat on? Is it running? I don't know what it is at this
They don't
point.
have enough, they don't get enough going during the course of a drive. And then, if you get a drive going, you got to finish it, right? You can't throw an interception. You got to be smart when you get in scoring range. And so that's, and then that kind of sums up where the Giants are, the state of the Giants offense. When you get a drive going and you can't punch it in, or you get a drive going and you turn it over, and then the rest of the game you're struggling to find something that works. Because if you can finish the job, that defense now has to come off to the sideline and try to work on everything you did. But if they get an interception, they just wash that away and say, okay, let's be better the next series. And the Giants can never mount another drive. So they've got to be able to value their possessions. They must value their possessions. The football is very important to everybody who handles that football.
Carl, I don't know what a segment of the Giant fan at this point that fills your timeline and fills my timeline up. What do you want us to say about Daniel Jones at this point? It is what it is. The numbers are the numbers.
Mm-hmm.
He needs to play better. He has not played well a lot of the games this season. He's played better in the road games than he's played in the home games. That's obvious. 6 touchdowns, no interceptions on the road. But when we state these facts of what the numbers are, like his career home numbers compared to his career road numbers, those are facts.
Yeah.
I mean, fans can go on Twitter or X and send us these rants or whatever. What does that mean? Like, okay, what they want? Well, they got to bench him. They got to bench him, Carl. Not Drew Lock's not the answer.
Yeah.
And it's not going to make anything better. It is
So,
what it is. This is what you got.
well, it's baked in right now. There are people that just don't believe in Daniel Jones, and Daniel has not done nothing to convince them that there's an opportunity. Now, he started off managing the offense well. And then he hit a spurt where he was just bad, and then it played into um, everyone's predictions, right? And what they feel that he is. And then, when it's not 100% on him, like last week, in the minds of the fans, if he didn't distinguish himself, then it is on him. And look, who am I? I'm not here to um, convince somebody of something that they're looking at that everybody can see. Do I wish for success for Daniel Jones? I absolutely do. But I'm not crazy enough to say, well, nothing, he's playing great and nothing to see here, right? He's got to play better. And the Giants offense has to do a better job helping him play better. But like, he has responsibility. He's the guy who runs the offense, so he have to do a better job. But again, when that ball leaves his hands, and yes, they're not going to be perfect, but your receivers, you should know that by now. And you got to help this guy out. It's just that simple. If he's your best chance to win and you get paid to catch footballs, and I'm not saying all of them are catchable, but the ones that hit you in the hands, you got to make those plays. The ones that hit you in the chest on the slant, Wan'Dale Robinson, you got to make those plays. Darius Slayton, you make up for a play by getting a touchdown, but the other plays that you could have scored on too, you got to make those. You got to keep drives going for your offense. So listen, I mean, whatever it is when it comes to Daniel Jones, he's got to play better. I'm not uh, in the peer group of people who thinks I'm going to be recklessly um, killing this guy, but I can say he needs to play better. And I don't need to call him names. I don't have to say all that. He has to play better football. His offensive weapons need to play better football as well so that they can actually get something going. Listen, everybody knows they're going to try to get to Malik Neighbors early. They're going to try to get him involved. Well, if you can defend him for one down, and then the Giants have got to try to come up with something else for two other downs, it's a punt, right? But those two other downs that they're not going to Malik Neighbors because he's getting all the attention, quarterback make a good play, receivers make a good play so that you can get drives going, so that now you can get Malik Neighbors, your best playmaker, involved in the offense more. But everybody knows it's going to be a short pass. They're going to sit on it and they're going to break it up. I mean, you see it week in and week out, but that's what it is. And then they have to figure out how to protect the quarterback, even if they need to go down the field. Because when I said last week, just a second ago, it wasn't all on Daniel Jones, but in the minds of those who are watching and that don't like him, if he didn't rise above, then it's on him.
Well,
Pass,
in fairness, in that argument, in one sense, is when you're paying your quarterback what you're paying your quarterback,
sure.
you've invested in him. The quarterback is supposed to lift the team out of a maze.
Absolutely. You're absolutely right. But it is what it is right now.
Right.
So you've got to play the cards you're dealt. Sometimes it's a burden to get him going, and everybody has to do it because the loss goes on everybody, not just on him, right? So if there's something you can do to help him out, you got to do it. That's just, it is what it is right now. He's your best opportunity. You've got to make sure that you give him a chance to get things going. Give yourself a chance to get things going. So listen, it won't be easy in Pittsburgh. They got to protect the quarterback. They've got two guys that can win on both ends.
Well, yeah,
And
and that's a big problem. I mean, because
yeah,
so far, Azudu has not distinguished himself, whether it was last year or this year. So the consumer confidence level from the Giant fan is understandably not high. I
sure.
don't know what they're going to do to try to help, but I mean, obviously they feel he gives them the best option, right? They're not sitting there going, well, we're going to put a guy out there to prove a point. They're putting a guy out there, whoever winds up lining up at that starting position, because they believe he's the best option. That's another story for another day when if Giant fans want to rant about it. Well, why? I don't know why. I'm not in the meetings. They're coaching him. We all talked about Carmen Brasillo when he got here, and we've been very impressed with what he's been able to do with his line. If they as a group think that this is our best five to put out there to give us a chance to win, so be it. So be it.
Yeah, they got to perform. It's simple. You've got 2 wins. You got to figure out how to climb out of this. They say that they can, but when you talk about circling the wagons, that means everybody's got to do a little bit extra. Um, we can bemoan whatever you think of Daniel Jones, but you got to help him out. He's what you got, right? And when he's making plays on target, you got to catch him. Simple as that. You got to keep drives going. That's how team works. You have to lift up your guys. Um, that's the only way you're going to get out of it. One guy's not going to pull you out of this hole. Everybody has to do it, and everybody has to know that there's a responsibility to make every play a priority, both offensively and defensively. Can't miss opportunities, because if you can start to get the good things going, all it takes is 1 or 2 plays, then you can start to create the momentum that makes the game a lot easier for you. It makes calling the plays a lot easier for your play caller. But if you just got to keep starting over, then your play caller's just trying to figure out to get something that works, right? But if he's got a rhythm to his offense or to his defense, um, they can now start to really take control of what they want to do. And again, they were good defensively until they weren't. Saquon Barkley had 3 big runs. And on each one of those big runs, it was user error, right? One to the outside, Azeez Ojulari goes inside, right? And now it's a soft edge. Saquon Barkley runs through it. Another one, your nose tackle, when Dexter Lawrence wasn't in, he gets knocked over 3 gaps, a hole too big for your linebackers to fill it, because wherever the linebacker goes, the runner's going to go the opposite. And then by the nose tackle getting pushed so far over, he blocks 2 other guys. He blocks the backside linebacker and the defensive end from coming across to help make the play. So everybody has to understand that every possession and every down is very important, and you have to pay attention to detail. It's just that simple.
So, Carl, I'm in Little Rock, Arkansas, working the inaugural Simmons Bank Championship, which is the second playoff event for the PGA Tour champions. We got an unbelievable leaderboard, Hall of Famers all over the place. I did bring my Cherubundi with me, but it's back in the room. I'm doing it from the compound. But man, it has been fantastic. Natural product. It's got the tart cherry, which has the highest antioxidant fruit or vegetable in the world. Reduces soreness, increases recovery. I've had a grueling travel schedule, sleeping a lot on airplanes, which is never good. So trying to improve my sleep in the hotel and help the immunity. All the NFL teams use it. Products are available on Amazon, cherubundi.com, retailers nationwide. You can go to Publix, Kroger's. My son Christopher, who he's a week from this Sunday, he leaves for Ranger School. So the people at Cherubundi have sent him over a little supply so he can get his body as rested and get some of that soreness out over the next week best as possible. So, because you can't bring it with him to Ranger School. They don't let you bring anything to Ranger School. But I've been enjoying the Cherubundi, and I know you have as well.
So yeah, I have a story. My Cherubundi story this week. So I did 24 hours on Home Shopping Network, pretty much every hour on the hour, starting Thursday at midnight and finishing last night at 11. So I did not have opportunities just to get sleep. And then I had to be on a 7 o'clock flight this morning. So I had 4 hours to get to sleep before I went and got on my flight. So as soon as I walked in the room, the first thing I did was my shot of Cherry Bundy, and I pulled the covers over my head. I woke up, no problem, feeling better rested because I just, I had broken sleep. I had naps throughout the day for 24 hours. So that was the longest stretch of sleep I had, and I didn't want it disrupted. And my Cherry Bundy came in handy.
There you go. I love it. I love it. Um, that's a grueling stretch, man. That's like the 24 hours of Le Mans or something.
Yeah, well, it pays off. It was well worth it.
I just want to say I'm pretty much done on this game. I think it's self-explanatory. I did want to. Our audience is a big NFL audience. A lot of you know this is my 30th year as the full-time play-by-play voice of the Giants. Been part of the broadcast team since Carl was playing back in '88. But I just wanted to got some devastating news today. Jim Donovan, who was
Mm,
honored by the Browns earlier this year. Jim's been battling cancer the last couple of years and had to step away as the full-time play-by-play voice for the Browns. And I got to know him through NBC. He used to work for NBC
yeah,
during Olympics and stuff. He passed away earlier today after this battle with cancer. When we were in Cleveland, they actually put him in their Ring of Honor. Um,
yeah.
and he wasn't even able to be at the ceremony, but he passed away. So NFL has lost a true great and Jim Donovan, the voice of the Browns, and thoughts and prayers go to his family. I just wanted to kind of mention that to you.
Yeah, I mean, Jim was a wonderful person. I got a chance to meet him when I played in Cleveland those two
That's right.
years, and
Right. Yeah, you crossed
just
paths.
an incredible human. And the profession will miss him. The Browns family and his own family will miss him. So we wish his loved ones all the best, and just know that he's in a great place.
Do you have anything else? I mean, I have no other ground to cover on this. I mean, it's pretty simple, man. They got to block better. They got to throw it better. Quarterbacks got to make better decisions. They got to run it better. They got to catch it better. They got to
Sure.
tackle better. And I hate to. It's 100 seasons of Giants football, but I'll steal a coach from Coughlin. Like talk is cheap. I mean, you guys could say you're close. You could say you're this. You could say you're that.
Mhm.
But until you
Do
prove
it.
our audience and the millions that listen and watch, like nobody's going to believe you until you actually do it, right? You can
Yeah,
tell
I
us how
mean,
close, but you got to do it.
yeah, losing close games just doesn't matter anymore when you only got two wins. So you got to go out and figure out how to do it. Um, the Pittsburgh Steelers are going to punch you in the face, and you're going to have to punch them back. It's just simple as that because that's who they are. And best players have to be the best players. Role players have to be attention to detail. And at some point during the course of a game, even your best players are role players. So, Aziz Ojolari, if you have the edge, maintain the edge. You just can't get sack happy. You got to make sure that responsibilities are covered and you play disciplined football.
With that said, how do we like to end it, Carl?
Tell a friend to tell a friend. Believe in
Be
Giants.
Giants.